have a responsibility to really to tune out the voices of the haters, of the people that are constantly double and triple checking and shilling for him.
Oh God, I hate these people. Look at her ugly face the entire time. And I don't mean ugly as in physically ugly. I mean spiritual ugliness that exudes through every aspect of her gesticulation, her facial expressions, her demeanor. Ugly, ugly people, the both of them. Sorry, I'll let this play out without interrupting.
Suggesting that somehow they're being biased, bending over backwards, treating him like a normal candidate. He's not a normal candidate. He is running to end American democracy as we know it. He's an authoritarian who a court in...
He's running to end America as we knew it. He had 4 years, and it was the best 4 years in recent memory compared to the last 3 years. He's an authoritarian who gets deplatformed, who gets sued, who gets persecuted by the government. Yeah, that's one hell of an authoritarian. Sick, demented, mentally unhinged individuals these people are. Look at her face right there. Oh, my God.
In Colorado, 2 days ago, ruled that he led an insurrection against the United States government.
Oh, the judge in Colorado 2 days ago ruled that he led an insurrection. How does a civil judge come to that criminal finding, Joe Scarborough? Have you asked yourself that? Of course you haven't, because you're an idiot. Ugly, ugly people, spiritually, psychologically, intellectually, which translates into physically.
He's charged with leading schemes to help overthrow the United States government. So if they want to frame it that way, that's fine. If you want to be fair,
if you want to be fair,
then you will frame this
as good versus evil.
Joe Biden being the candidate that supports American democracy.
Yep. If
and
you want to be
Donald
fair.
Trump, a candidate who supports a new form of government here that's authoritarian. It's really that simple. And
if you want to be fair, Joe Biden good, Trump bad. If you want to be fair, okay? We're going to get into Joe Scarborough in a second.
By the way, Reverend Al, when people go, oh, you can't compare him to past Nazi leaders. You can't compare him to this past Nazi leader or that past.
This is the screen grab of insanity. You know, like in The Princess Bride, you had the pits of despair. This is the pits of insanity. These people, they're actors, they're liars, they're propagandists. They are not shameless because they have a price. Oh my God, he's an authoritarian. He's going to end America as we know it because he did that the first time he had 4 years. Oh, and a civil judge said he came to insurrection. Don't ask questions, Joe. Don't ask questions about that or other stuff that happened to you. We'll get to that in a second.
Fascist leader, because he hasn't done that. Well, what hasn't he done? He hasn't done the things that the American judicial system did not allow him to do last time, but may very well allow him to do this time, or a judicial system that will be ignored by Donald Trump.
A judicial system that will be ignored by Donald Trump. Do you remember when the Bruin decision came down from the Supreme Court and you had states and Biden saying, we're just going to ignore it? Oh, yeah, no, but Trump is the one who's going to ignore the judiciary. Yeah.
And ran over by Donald Trump to create the greatest constitutional crisis of our lifetimes.
What in the name of sweet holy hell are you talking about, Joe? The greatest constitutional crisis in our lifetime came when the current administration weaponized every aspect of the judiciary, prosecution, legal system to attack and persecute the leading rival to prevent them from becoming president. Oh, yeah, no, but Trump is the threat to democracy. And I'm preaching to the choir here, but listen.
Because he hasn't.
If you thought it was as bad as it's going to get, nope.
Done it yet doesn't mean he won't do it when he gets a chance to do it. And if he is voted into office, then a lot of these people that are talking about literal or figurative or whatever the hell they're saying, you're going to look like idiots because he will get away with, he will imprison, he will execute whoever he's allowed to imprison, execute, drive from the country. Just look at his past.
We're looking at his past, Joe. 4 years setting it. What do you want? Leave me alone. Get over here. 4 years he had. And it was a better 4 years than the last 3 years. Oh, yeah, no, just look at what he's done.
Not really hard to read. The only thing that stood between him and the destruction of American democracy was the federal judiciary.
No doubt about it. And I think that
no doubt about it.
Talk about
let's have this cuckoo nest go. Yeah, this is what you call a silo. A 2.5-minute, unhinged, baseless, factually incorrect confession through projection tirade that is delusional, if not outright psychotic. And then you get, what was it, Al Sharpton? That is correct. Everything you just said is correct. And I'd like to add one more thing. He will kill you, your kids, and your kids' kids. Everything. He will end the world as we know it. He had 4 years, a great, prosperous 4 years of peace. There would have been more peace, except for the swamp creatures within his administration lied to him about how many soldiers were left in the countries where they wanted to continue waging war. Oh, yeah, but Joe Scarborough, it seems to me I remember a story about Joe Scarborough and an intern who died in his office after allegedly fainting and then hitting her head on the corner of a desk. Well, hold on. I know that. No. Here we go. Oh, it seems to me I remember a little something about that, Joe. Oh, but that's right. It was Trump tweets baseless conspiracy theory accusing Joe Scarborough of murder. First of all, I don't think he accused Joe Scarborough of murder. And one thing that I have learned over the last, what year was this? This was May 24, 2020. If there's one thing I've learned over the last 3 years at the very least, but now it's closer to 5-6 years, when the media, when the lying mockingbird propaganda media says baseless conspiracy theory, I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that they use that more often than not to describe something which turns out to be true. Remember? Mass formation psychosis, baseless conspiracy theory, as confirmed by behavioral psychologists, also known as mass formation psychosis analysts. The Rona originating in a lab in Wuhan, China, baseless conspiracy theory, racist conspiracy theory, according to the New York Times. What was this baseless conspiracy theory here? They picked a nice picture of Trump for that. Picked a nice picture of Joe Scarborough. This is from 2020, people. President Trump again baselessly accused Joe Scarborough of murdering his intern in 2001 in a tweet Saturday, calling on his followers to keep digging and to use forensic geniuses to find out more about the death that occurred at Scarborough's Florida office when he was a member of Congress. What was the tweet? Let me just see if we can get the tweet here. The tweet apparently accused him of murder, right? That's what fake news said there. Let me just see here. This is the tweet. A blow to her head, body found under his desk, left Congress suddenly. Big topic of discussion in Florida. And he's a nut job, which he is, with bad ratings. I don't know about that. Keep digging, use forensic geniuses. It's interesting here. I didn't hear. Oh, he's retweeting Trump calls for investigation into Joe Scarborough for murder of staffer. And that is coming from the D.C. Patriots. Well, I don't hear. He's retweeting an article. A blow to her head, body found under her desk, left Congress suddenly. Big topic for discussion in Florida. And he's a nut job. Well, I think I agree with pretty much everything in there. So we go to there. Okay, fine. Why it matters. Trump has had a lengthy feud with Scarborough and his wife, Mika Brzezinski, who hosts Morning Joe and are often critical of the president. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. Oh, Brzezinski demanded last week, this was in 2020, that Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey stop allowing Trump to abuse the platform by spreading conspiracy theories. Oh, yeah. Well, a good spouse protects the spouse. And Dorsey didn't block him then. Dorsey had to wait until January 6th. Okay, we're going to say go down onto the floor. Oh, you sneaky little piece of garbage. Yeah, all right. Authorities determined that she died after losing consciousness from an abnormal heart rhythm and collapsed, striking her head, the Washington Post reports. Police ruled that Klazutis' death was an accidental and never suspected foul play. Well, we know the authorities would never lie. We know the police, investigation people, things, they never are politicized, in their persecution of Trump. They're never politicized in their non-persecution prosecution of others, Can't figure out who brought the little baggie of cocaine into the White House. The judicial system is never weaponized, politicized in terms of who they convict. Roger Stone, Steve Bannon. They're never politicized in terms of who they acquit. Michael Sussman. No. So if the authorities say nothing happened to a young woman having heart arrhythmia, losing consciousness, striking her head on a desk and dying, I'll tell you one thing. I've never known anybody that died like that. I got to tell you something. Until recent memory, I've never known any young people. This was pre-Jibby Jab. This is 2001, so they're not going to make any. I've never known any young people just randomly passing out. Period. Oh yeah, no, but that's it. But the police say, look, she passed out. She had a heart thing. She lost consciousness, struck her head on a table, and died. And don't suspect anything. Shut up and go home. Nothing to see here. Joe Scarborough in Congress. Okay, something's going to drive me absolutely crazy if I don't fix this. That was too much, but we're going to live with it. Oh, gosh. Now I've activated the movement on the camera. So hold on. Let me just go back to position 1 and see what this looks like. Okay, so position 1. Okay, that's good enough. And we're going to leave it there. Good morning, people. Good super morning, California. Good afternoon, Europe. Good evening, Eastern Europe. And good morning. Top of the morning to you, Aussie boys. Oh, yeah, we got stuff to talk about today. Now, I started early for a couple of reasons. It's Thanksgiving week. Kids are off school, which is relaxing. It makes for maximum efficiency among adults. And, yeah, it's totally fine. Just, my parents are coming to visit. That's going to be fun. But Robert Barnes is live at 1 o'clock on the Duran. And it's going to be amazing. It is a beautiful day in Florida. I can't pretend I'm not going to the beach this afternoon. But I needed to get the stream in. Morning is better than afternoon. Barnes is live at 1 o'clock, so I was not overlapping with Barnes. Once we're done here, I will make sure that everybody knows where to go to see him on the Duran at 1 o'clock. But holy merciful goodness, do we have what to talk about. The war is on. Attack, 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 never defend. Roger Stone's political rhetoric. Not my style, not my strategy, but my goodness, when you're in a war for the minds, a war of information, when you're playing against people who are pathological, unhinged, deranged liars, unscrupulous scoundrels, you don't really have the luxury of giving them the benefit of the doubt. Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski are unscrupulous scoundrels. You know who else is? Media Matters. We're going to get there. But, oh God, I love that turtle shell right there. That turtle shell is just beautiful. But before we get there, turtle shell replaced Barnes on this show. No, but that turtle shell, I'll show it to everybody afterwards as we get to the end. Before we get started, you may have noticed, looking at myself here, we're live on Rumble. We're live on, let me just put on pause there. We're live on vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Let me see what Bill Brown says here. It says, I do not drink alcohol. I drank liquor, and I get it from the liquor store. Okay. We're live on vivabarneslaw.locals.com if anybody wants to head over there now. But before we get started, you might have noticed it says this stream contains a paid promotion. And it does. And it's an easy one for me because it's something that I use myself. It is Field of Greens, people. This morning, I went for a jog. I came back. I did my 25 curls of 20 pounds, 4 reps, and 4 reps of 25 push-ups just to keep a little toned. I rehydrated. And then I had my morning dose of vitamins, fruits, and vegetables. It's a little known fact that you are supposed to have between 5 and 7 servings of raw fruits and vegetables a day. I have this. I eat so much arugula out of the container. It has other side effects, but set those aside. I do my vegetables, but most people don't. But I like to avoid unhealthy habits, which is you're in the afternoon time and you want something to refresh you, to reinvigorate you, and you don't want one of those sugar-filled, one of those toxic, chemical, fake sugar-filled drinks. And most people do not have their 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. Field of Greens is a desiccated green, It's a risky word to say with my lisp. Desiccated, meaning pulverized, dried, and, pulverized. It's not an extract. It's not a supplement. It's a food. It's USDA organic. It's made in America. 1 spoonful twice a day is 1 serving of fruits and vegetables with all of the antioxidants. You do it twice a day, you get 2 servings of fruits and vegetables twice a day. Fieldofgreens.com. They have I was going to say a black market, but it's a Black Friday special going on right now. You get up to 30% off if you use the promo code VIP, just so I don't make a mistake on the dates. It's Black Friday, so it's got to be this week. Black Friday sale is on, and it's incredible. Right now, you can get up to 30% off. Use the promo code VIP. You get more energy throughout the day, a healthy drink, vitamins, antioxidants, all the good stuff. And if you're traveling, it's especially useful because it's not always easy to find fruits and vegetables. The link is in the description. Promo code VIP this week to get up to 30% off for the Black Friday. All right. Thank you, Field of Greens. It's good stuff, too. Tastes good, and it's good for you. Now, what I was going to say. There was something else I had to do before we get into the meat of the day. For those of you who don't know who I am, I should get better at the intro stuff. You all know who I am. Viva Frei, David Freiheit, Montreal litigator turned Florida rumbler. The format of the show, I'm exclusive on Rumble. So what we do is we start on the platform that, for the time being, still has the biggest reach, still has the biggest pool because it's Google. The largest search engine in the world owns the largest video hosting platform in the world for now. And they use it to monopolize thought, to suppress dissident thought, to hard censor and soft censor counter-narrative explanations, which over the course of time tend to be more true than not. We will grace them only for 15, 30 minutes before we end on YouTube, go over to Rumble exclusively. We're also on vivabarneslaw.locals.com. When we end the stream on Rumble, we have a bit of an after party on Locals, our wonderful, amazing community there. I take questions. We have a very interactive back and forth in the chat. And that's it. So we're gonna cover maybe 2 stories here that are not related to the big story of the day, which is going to be Media Matters sued by Elon Musk, now under investigation by Ken Paxton out of Texas. The Shiat is hitting the Fian people, and holy sweet merciful goodness, it's good. The lawsuit Musk filed against Media Matters for America, it's technical. It's going to have some difficulties. I will preface this by saying that I was only a Quebec civil attorney. I try to make sense of the world in the way I can and hopefully make it make sense to other people. We're going to go through it. We're also going to talk about Trump's lawsuit against 20 some odd organizations. It's a very simple lawsuit. We're going to get to that as well. But the shiznit, says Tom Corn Pop. Speaking of Corn Pop, where's Corn Pop? We haven't seen Corn Pop in a while. Okay, so before we even get into that, the one other thing I had to bring it up. I'm not fully up to date on the latest developments, but there's not going to be much going on in this. That's the wrong one. That's Texas. We want to see our 2 minutes of hate from Leticia James. Here we go. Let's just hear what we got. A daily update, people. Your 2 minutes of hate. It's actually 2 minutes. 2 minutes of hate from none other than Lavrenta Beria, the modern iteration of Lavrenta Beria. Her name happens to be Leticia James, or Tish James. Here, let's hear what she has to say. In the court of public opinion, while persecuting Trump with I call him now New York nipple judge, Engoron, who recently has been overturned by an appeal judge in New York as relates to his gag order. New York nipple judge overturned now repeatedly by the higher courts of New York, working in concert with Leticia James. They have the tools to find Trump, declare him guilty of fraud by summary judgment, would have liquidated all of his assets, but for the higher courts. Nothing wrong with what nipple New York judge Engoron is doing. He's taking to his alumni webpage that he was hosting for a while to brag about all of his devastating decisions against Eric Trump. Leticia James, when she's not sitting, in court watching her persecution of Trump, is taking it to social media, while the trial is ongoing. How this has not resulted in some sort of ethical complaint against her, I don't know, because I don't know what the rules are in New York, but it smells fishy. Let's hear what her latest is.
Today we began the 8th week of our trial.
Stop it. The 8th week of the trial. The 8th week of a trial for, what are they calling it? There was a word in the commercial sense for, whatever. The 8th week of the alleged fraud trial, where Trump allegedly overvalued his assets to screw the itty-bitty banks out of interest that they would have charged if they had given him a less preferential rate had he properly valued his assets, even though, according to Ivanka Trump's testimony, the banks were competing for Trump's business in full awareness of fact and law. Never let facts get in the way of a good 2 minutes of hate, Leticia. Let's hear this out here.
Today we began the 8th week of our trial against Donald Trump, the Trump Organization, and other defendants. This morning, we heard testimony from yet another of the defendant's many expert witnesses. This witness was called to offer opinions and testimony on insurance underwriting, but the majority of his testimony experience is in medical malpractice.
Did he get recognized as an expert after a voir dire, Leticia?
Which has absolutely nothing to do with our trial.
Are you undermining the judge?
A few weeks ago, an underwriter at Zurich Insurance told us that Donald...
A few weeks ago, remember, a few weeks ago was the prosecution's case. Now it's the defense's side. So what's she say? Oh, an expert came in today, but he is not a real expert. First of all, Tish, was he recognized as an expert by the court? Because it sounds like you might be undermining Judge Engeron's voir dire, where they nonetheless recognize him as an expert. But she says, he's a bad expert. A few weeks ago, when we had our bias experts, this is what they said, and therefore it should stand. This is what she's doing every day after this trial. New York.
Trump's fraudulent statements of financial condition were material to Zurich's decision to take Trump on as a client. As a result, the Trumps got a better deal on insurance coverage than they should have.
They got a better deal on insurance coverage, never made a claim, paid their premiums, setting aside the fact that maybe these businesses were competing for Trump's business and not getting defrauded by Trump's evaluations, which contained a provision in the contracts which the judge did not allow as a defense in this case. Okay.
But the defendants want us to believe that Zurich did not actually use those statements.
Or, and I'm just spitballing here, they used their own as well. Maybe, just maybe. You know, Zurich doesn't just say, oh, Mr. Viva, you evaluated that turtle fossil stone that you wasted money on at a $10 million. Okay, well, we'll allow you to insure it at $10 million. And by the way, do you know what my premium for an insurance on saying that this is worth $10 million would be? A lot more than if I said it was the hundreds of dollars that it actually cost. A lot more. And unless I make a claim, all that I have done is paid a higher insurance rate on overvalued assets on which I never made an insurance claim. Never let logic get in the way of a good persecution.
They tried to say that Zurich did not do a full review of Donald Trump's finances because they wanted the Trump Organization as a client no matter what.
Yep.
But their own expert agreed that Zurich did in fact do their due diligence using the information the Trumps provided. And as the judge already ruled, that information was fraudulent.
He's already guilty, people. This trial is only to determine how guilty. Summary judgment guilt. Do you know what that's called? Communism, fascism, kangaroo court, whatever you want to call it. It's obscene.
Next, we heard from Jeffrey McConney,
Oh, yeah, let's hear him.
former controller at the Trump Organization and one of the defendants in this trial. He previously told us that he and the other defendants would use unsupported property values to inflate Mr. Trump's overall net worth.
Unsupported. She's not going to mention the fact that they had an expert affiant willing to submit an affidavit to attest to the valuation of the properties that Engeron did not allow in because he's got tools, he's got bias, he's got everything he needs to get to the result he wants.
For example, when they valued Trump Park Avenue, they knowingly ignored the fact that 12 of the units were rent stabilized. They valued those 12 units at $50 million, even though they knew they were collectively worth $750,000.
Rent stabilized. Again, I actually have done some rental lodging litigation in Quebec. Assuming it's mildly the same, You can have there's rent stabilized. You can only increase residential rent by so much, but you can transform the units into something that changes their destination and with approval of the court, get the tenants to be evicted. Do you think they would still be worth it? Hypothetically, you had rents. Let's even just say hypothetically rent stabilized, and I'm just thinking out loud here. Well, if you change the destination of that building, what would it be worth?
Despite emails showing that the Trumps knew the apartments were rent stabilized and only appraised at $750,000.
By whom? By whom?
Mr. McConney blamed the error on their accounting firm.
The error.
The defendants can keep trying to place blame on others.
Who is she looking at?
But when it comes to fraud, it really takes one to know one.
Oh, that's why we believe that you know that you're fraudulent, your fraudulency. Oh, it takes one to know one. And it certainly takes one to accuse one at all costs.
And Donald Trump committed fraud.
Look at the way
Trump committed fraud. And Donald Trump committed
look at
fraud.
that little gyrate in her shoulders.
And Donald Trump committed fraud.
Her head there.
It takes one to know one.
And Donald Trump.
And Donald Trump
right
committed
there.
fraud time and time again. And we will continue to prove our case in court.
And we got just the judge to do it. New York nipple judge Engoron, who has decreed guilt already on summary judgment by excluding evidence because it was an uncontestable matter of fact that did not even need to go to the merits. Dismissed affidavits. Oh boy. Psychopath is right. I've got to tell you. I mean, it's psychopathy. So, anyways, that's what's going on in the Trump trial. It's not. I mean, it's going to have to get overturned at a higher court because it's so egregious. I mean, on the one hand, everybody should pull their business and lives out of New York because this is what they can do to the most powerful man in the world, or at least potentially. This is what they can do to a man with the means to defend against this persecution. Just imagine and understand what they do to those without the means, to those without the bullhorn, to those who no one will ever know that they're doing this to them. And if they sit there screaming on social media, no one will really even care. And it will not be publicized and put on blast to the point where everybody can see in real time. The absolute wholesale destruction of institutions that were intended to keep society safe, civil, and lawful. All right. Do we have anything else that's sort of tangentially related, but not really? Looking in the back. Oh, yeah, we do. We're going to do one more before we head out of here. One more before we head over to Rumble. That's the link to Rumble. And if you are so inclined and you want to come over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com, here's the link there. Something that'll just make you puke. It'll be a quick one. Remember John Leguizamo? Like, great actor. Carlito's Way. Benny Blanco from the Bronx. A great actor. The voice of that prehistoric animal in Ice Age. Now, I'm trying to think of what else he did. John Leguizamo. He was in a couple of great comedies. He was in a couple of great dramas recently. He's a good actor. I like the guy as an actor. And as much as you never know who never know Hollywood types, and I don't trust anybody coming out of Hollywood because it's a morally depraved cesspool of depravity. But he was amazing as Benny Blanco from the Bronx. Everybody has to see Carlito's Way. It's one of the greatest movies ever. This is what he's become. He's become a sycophant cheerleader of Joe Biden. This is, it's so gross. I'm a counterculture. Oh yeah, counterculture always sit there sniffing and kissing the butt of the president. That's what they do. Counterculture. Outgoing introvert. Oh, I see what you did there. Latinx. Underachieving overachiever. Okay, this is getting old already, John. Trying to leave this blue pebble a better place than when I entered it. Well, let me see what we got here in his profile. I can't identify a lot of those movies. I'm a counterculture, outgoing introvert. He's a giant shrimp, a flat mountain. Well, I'll tell you what he is. He's an ass-kissing sycophant. John Leguizamo writes, "Happy birthday, Mr. President." I don't even know if he meant it that way. "Happy birthday, Mr. President. had accomplished more than any president since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Pas que c'est pas. I don't know what that means, but that's not that's my own ignorance. Has accomplished more than any president since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Oh, it's so gross. It's just gross and disgusting. I don't know how much. Like, I'll tell you one thing. Even if one wants to consider me call me names, a Trump sycophant, which I am not, because I'll criticize him when he deserves it, I'm not taking to Twitter to wish people happy birthday, Mr. Trump. May all your birthday dreams come true. 81, I'm talking about Biden now. You don't look a day over 80. And your mental acuity is really impeccable. For an 81-year-old, you're surprisingly not demented. Oh, what the hell has he accomplished? Damage. That's what he's accomplished. Imagine this. Trump is the end of the world, World War III authoritarian tyrant who had 4 years of peace. No new wars. So peaceful, he had to have his military advisors lie to him about the amount of soldiers left in places where he wanted to take them back from. Such a tyrant gets yeeted from social media platforms. 3 years. Never underestimate Joe's abilities to F things up, Obama. 3 years is all it took to have actual World War III. Inflation up the wazoo. Rampant crime. Open border letting in God knows whom. Oh yeah, no, but Trump's the problem. And happy birthday, Mr. President. All right, let's see the number go down from 475 to something lower than that before we move over exclusively to Rumble. Here's the link one last time. And then we head on over to the free speech platform where we're going to talk about the war for our minds. I feel like Alex Jones. It's a battle for your mind, people. It's a war for your minds, and we are the counterculture. But it's obvious. Why is the number going up? It's at 491. The number has to go down before we move over. I have to go, Jackie. I have to go because it'll be on YouTube tomorrow. There we go. 490. It went 480. It'll be on YouTube tomorrow, maybe even this afternoon. But for the live, interactive breaking, that is Rumble's honor. That is my privilege to bring it there. So we are ending on YouTube. Come on over to Rumble. The link is in the pinned link, vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Thank you to Field of Greens. Get your scoop in twice a day. Health, wealth, and happiness. But I like to say health brings wealth and happiness, and health is happiness. So get healthy, stay healthy, and I will see you on Rumble in 5, 4. Oh, gosh, I didn't mean to start it. I meant to end it on here. Ending on YouTube, 3, 2, 1.